Well, hey everyone, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather. We got a severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued a couple of moments ago for western Williamson County. And Davidson County not included yet, but Williamson County is on the west side. So you're looking here at traditional radar. And you can see a polygon there that covers the west side of Williamson County. I'll turn the radar off so you can kind of see we got a lot of storms coming in from the west. And this new severe thunderstorm warning covers Fairview and basically down to Craigfield, the Highway 100 exit there on 840, Liberty Hill, Chester Estates, on over to Fernvale a little bit. And that's about it. For Williamson County right now. Really, it's just the far western corner, including Fairview. So let's back out just a little bit. No weather warnings are in effect for Davidson County, and the rest of Williamson County is not included yet in the severe thunderstorm warning, but that could change over the next little bit as this line of storms pushes east. I'm going to turn the lightning product off here to get rid of that red box. And let's do that. All right, it makes it a little bit more clear. So we got a line of storms coming in from the west here, and I'll put it in motion just so you can kind of see which way it's going. Pretty much everybody's going to get rain out of this. It's just a matter of who gets the strong winds associated with this and who doesn't. But pretty much right now, there are warnings stacked up and down to our west. So the warnings come all the way over to the border of Davidson County, and then just a little bit there of Williamson County on the west side. So if you got some alerts on your phone, something like that, you are for a severe thunderstorm warning, that's who it includes. It's just this western side of Williamson County right now, from Fairview down to about Fernvale and down to Craigfield, and those communities there off of 840 on the southwestern side of Williamson County. So that's who's included right now. This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 5:15, so about another, let's see, it's 4:51 right now, so about another 25 minutes on this severe thunderstorm warning as it stands right now. So whether it'll be extended to the east or whether it will be dropped completely, we just don't know yet. So we're dealing with what we have right now, which is the warning just for Fairview in western Williamson. So let's go look at velocities here, and then we'll talk about kind of what you need to do to prepare for this as it comes in. So you can see on our velocity view here, you got these brighter greens. You got this line of brighter green here coming through Dickson County, down into Hickman County, and on up into Cheatham County, and then on up into Robertson County there as you go up to the north. Strongest winds are really up here in Robertson County, it looks like, as they've got, looks like maybe some 58, 60 mile per hour wind gusts there up in Robertson County. Radar is not really detecting much in the way of 60 mile per hour wind gusts as you move further down the line. But the line looked to be strengthening, so they went ahead and pulled the trigger on a warning for this all up and down, basically from southern Hickman County all the way up into Robertson County. So that's back. That's what's coming in from back to our west. So those are the velocities that we're watching. However, if we go over to a different radar here, let's go over to TBNA. This is over in Nolensville. TBNA showing a little bit of a different story here, and it's showing a pretty wide area of some 60 mile per hour winds. In fact, it's showing 60, 62, really right up in there in the 60 mile per hour range, and that's a pretty big area. So it's good to have a couple of different radars on hand like we do. We've got a couple of them that we can look at and get a good idea of what's going on, and it looks like that this one is showing an area of 60 mile per hour winds right there in eastern Dickson County. So let's talk about what to do as this comes in, because if this does have some very strong winds associated with it, these are going to be of the straight line wind variety. They could last a few minutes after they come through. And in fact, the Weather Service is just noticing what we were noticing here. TBNA continues to show a pretty wide swath of 50-knot winds heading in to central Cheatham through just east of the town of Dickson. So they're looking at this as well. This is exactly what the Weather Service is noting. That's pushing down to the southeast. And so if that holds on and that keeps going, Davidson County is going to get a warning too, because those winds are being indicated up in the low to mid 60 mile per hour range right now. So let's talk about what to do. If you're outside, you need to get inside. You need to make plans. If you're in Davidson and Williamson counties, if you're outside, be making plans to get indoors. Because this line of storms is going to be pretty gusty as it comes in, it looks like, and we could have some decent straight line winds with it. Back over traditional radar, looks like the strongest winds are associated in the pinks and reds, or the purples and reds there around Charlotte, there in Dickson County. So that looks like where the strongest winds are associated, is right in those big heavy downpours right there around Charlotte. Could be some very, very small hail though. Probably not, but could be just a little bit of very small hail mixed in there as well. But definitely, it looks like it could be gusty. Let's go back over to TBNA and look at that again. Let's put this in motion here, and then we're going to time this out. All right, so there's your look at TBNA, and it looks like those winds are surging down to the southeast. So this is one of those I-24 specials, and it's coming down I-24 and moving to the southeast, and that'll be impacting areas like Riverwalk, Bells Bend, Bellevue, Pasco, Beeman Park, Vanderbilt, and really over toward Brentwood. So it looks like the Weather Service is going to go ahead over the next few minutes and issue another warning for the northern portion of the line. So that will, if I just had to guess, probably would include Davidson County, but we'll have to see here in just a little bit. That's the latest note from the Weather Service just a couple of minutes ago, about a minute ago. All right, so that's TBNA. Let's go ahead. Let's see if we can get this thing timed out. All right, let's go over here to this radar, and I'm gonna attempt to try to give you some sort of an estimate on time here. The warnings here generally say they're moving at about 45 miles per hour. So we're going to sort of do this and move this across at about 45 miles per hour. So that would put it in Fairview about 511. That would put it in Belmead about 523. Forest Hills a little bit after that. Nashville, downtown Nashville at 526. That would be over in the, let's move this over here, get it out of the way. Oak Hill about 529, and Franklin about the same time. Brentwood about 530. So these are rough estimates. Use these as just estimates. Don't, plan exactly when you run to your car or run for shelter by these minutes. But this just kind of gives you an idea of how fast they're moving. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning coming out does not include Davidson. That would be for Cheatham, Robertson, and Sumner. All right, so that's a new warning coming out, and it does not look to include Davidson. In fact, you can see here that they've gone through great efforts to outline Davidson and not include Davidson. So Davidson is surrounded now on about two sides by severe thunderstorm warnings, and Davidson is not yet included. So we'll see if that happens, but you can see the polygons there stretch up and around Davidson as those storms come in. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3 severe thunderstorm warning polygons in effect here, and the only one that impacts us in our two counties of Davidson and Williamson is the warning back to the west that includes Fairview. So let's go down and look at that, and you can see here who is included in that polygon. So Fairview, Craigfield, got some of the other areas out here. You got the Blakemont, Brush Creek, Liberty Hill, Chester Estates. You got the Highway 100 exit there, Craigfield, those areas, and over to Fernvale. You folks are included in that severe thunderstorm warning that was issued, and that's up in effect until 5:15. So about another 15 minutes on that one. We'll see what they do with it, whether they extend it to the east, whether they get rid of it altogether. We'll just have to see how it evolves. We want to go over and keep an eye on TBNA because TBNA is showing really the strongest winds with the storm. And it is showing 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, really 60 to 65 coming in to Ashland City or to southern Cheatham County, really Ashland City down to the south. And so we're going to have to keep an eye on this to see if these winds continue down to the southeast. So I tell you, if y'all are out in Bellevue right now, if you're out at a ball game or some kind of after-school activity outside, practices, anything like that, you need to start moving inside and getting indoors, getting ready for this storm as it comes down to the southeast. So this area of high velocity is moving to the southeast. So Bells Bend, Beeman Park, Fontenelle, the West Briley Parkway loop there, Forest Hills, Bellevue, Pasco, Riverwalk, the Bellevue Highlands, Horseshoe Bend, Edwin Warner Park. If y'all are at the Warner Parks, y'all need to get into an indoor place that can withstand 50, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Looks like a severe thunderstorm warning continues here for this area that we're just talking about. They're continuing the severe thunderstorm warning until 5:15. All right, so let's say it again. If you're over in the Warner Parks, Bellevue, Riverwalk, Pasco, Natchez Trace Bridge area, Beeman Park, West Nashville, Forest Hills, Brentwood, you guys need to get inside. You're not currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. I would anticipate that would happen before too long if these winds keep it up. But radar is showing winds up in the 60 to 65 mile per hour range up at about 1,800 feet. And it's being pretty consistent too, showing those winds coming in to to western Davidson County here in just a little bit. All right, so let's go over to traditional radar and let's see what it looks like. You're used to seeing this view here. This is the reds and the yellows and all that. This is your rain view. This is what it looks like when the radar hits all the raindrops. And you're used to seeing this. So there's a few embedded heavy downpours here, and that's generally where the heaviest winds, the strongest winds are. And it looks like Dixon Airport gusted to 54 miles per hour in the latest observation. So really gusty winds out there as that came through Dixon. 54 miles per hour was their gust, which technically is not severe. 54 is going to feel pretty strong. 59 is really where severe winds, or 58. 59 is really the beginning of severe winds. And so it's up there pretty close. It's up there pretty close as that comes in. Let's go back over to TBNA, and then we're going to bounce around and look at a couple of cameras and see what we're seeing out on the seeing outside. In fact, we'll go ahead and look at that. This is Gallatin right now, and let's pan over to the left here and see. You can kind of see that storm front coming in, and we can scan to the left here and kind of look down toward Nashville. But this is up in Gallatin, so you can see the sky lighting up there on the left. And that is kind of looking down the line, looking kind of toward downtown Nashville down the line. But then we look back to the right, and we're looking really directly into this storm front coming in. So we're looking into really western Sumner County there over into Robertson County. And you can see the gust front there. Look as we, let's zoom in a little bit on that and look at that gust front. That gust front is one thing you might notice come through. Winds might pick up on the front end of that. All right, so pretty clear gust front there on the front end of the storms. You can kind of see those clouds there about halfway up, and that is that's your gust front there as it pushes east. All right, so we're going to be watching that, see what it does up in Sumner County as that approaches. It's going to look very similar down to the south of that in our area. All right, so TBNA still being very consistent, showing these 50 to 60 mile per hour winds at about 1,500 feet up in the atmosphere. And so that's where the strongest winds appear to be right now, is along this bow. You can see this bow stretching from Ashland City down to Kingston Springs and almost down to Fairview. So again, we'll say if you are in Bellevue, Riverwalk, Pasco, Bells Bend, Natchez Trace Bridge, if you're in any of the Warner Parks or you know anybody in the Warner Parks right now, let them know that a pretty decent storm is about to be coming in here in the next 20, 30 minutes or less, and that they need to be moving inside and get out of the woods and off the paths and off the areas like that back in the park where people may be hiking. So be sure that your friends are out of there. Let's see, have any notes here from the Weather Service? Looks like a tree down up in Robertson County. No other real reports coming in, but hey, let's talk about reports real quick. We do this every time we come on. If you see any damage of any kind, wind damage, that's going to be the primary kind of damage we may or may not see today. But the primary would be some straight line damaging winds. If you see anything like that, a tree down or something, let us know. Tweet using hashtag TSpotter, and we will get that report and we'll send that over to the Weather Service. So feel free to send those to us with using hashtag TSpotter, and we will get those reports to the Weather Service. Y'all do a great job of sending those to us. All right, we're sticking with TBNA here because it's showing the best view here of the strong winds. Strongest winds are going to be right here from Ashland City down to Kingston Springs, down to Fairview, and that's going to be where the strongest winds are, is right along that bulge, and it looks like it even may be out ahead. I'm going to switch over to a different different radar here, the strongest winds may actually be out ahead of the heaviest precipitation. So if I'm reading the radar right here, the strongest winds might be, here's your heaviest rain. Your strongest winds may actually be along this gust front that's out ahead of the heaviest rain. All right, so so don't wait for the heavy rain to move inside. The strong wind may hit you before that. All right, back over to TBNA. Let's take a look at that. And yeah, that's pretty strong wind. Let's back up and put this in motion here and kind of see which way it's moving. It's moving southeast. Southeast. Another warning coming out. Looks like that's going to be south of us in southern Middle Tennessee. We'll keep an eye on that. But for right now, Davidson County excluded from a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's getting close, guys. It is getting close. So I tell you, the strongest winds right now, which appear to be in the 60 mile per hour range, 60 to 65 range, look to be affecting Bells Bend, Bellevue, and Pasco here in the next little bit. And I currently do not see a warning yet for Davidson. My weather radio is going off here. I think that's going to be for Williamson. Yeah, new warning for Williamson. So looks like a new warning now for southern Williamson County. That's going to be basically from 840 to the south, or the Ag Center down to the south. So that's going to be a new warning for Williamson County till 5:45. So about another 45 minutes there. Still very strong winds being indicated on the southern side of Cheatham County, about to enter Davidson County in the next couple of minutes. And these winds are estimated up in the 60 to 65 mile per hour range, up at about 1,500 feet. And it's very soon going to impact Bells Bend, Bellevue, Pasco, Riverwalk, Belmead, Forest Hills. And looks like starting to get some T-spotter reports in here. And it looks like those are going to be basically for some trees down. That's going to be up near Old Columbia Road, Highway 70. It's going to be over in Dixon's area. And I'm going to see if I can get some reports up here for you in just a second. Let's pull T-spotter up and see if I can show you some of this. All right, so it looks like over in Dixon's area, it looks like a tree down on the road. That's going to be pretty common, I think, with this. Power outages possible. It looks like they are getting some reports of some power outages there in Dixon County. That's from Dixon Severe Weather. She's noting some power outages there in the county, possibly some trees down there. Gust front there in Greenbrier. So that's a picture of the gust front we saw over on the on our camera here just a little bit ago. In fact, here's a live picture of that. That's up in Gallatin looking to the west. So that's a live picture at the picture we just saw on T-spotter. So that's a look at the reports that we have coming in. And let's go back over here to TBNA. I'm very interested in these gusty winds. And if you know of anybody over in the Warner Parks, I'll say it again. If you know of anybody over in the Warner Parks hiking around, or anybody with ball practice out on the west side of Davidson County, let them know that there is some pretty strong weather about to come in, and potentially some winds that could bring some trees down. Radar still indicating winds up in the 60 mile per hour range, up around 1,200 feet, as this is entering Davidson County really as we speak over the next couple of minutes. So even though Davidson County is not under a severe thunderstorm warning, I would advise really anybody outside on the western part of the county that might be walking around or hiking or at a ball practice to get inside, because this is going to be pretty gnarly as it comes in the west side of Davidson County. And it's going to be out ahead of the heaviest rain, it looks like. So it's the strongest winds might not be in heavy rain. So there's your strongest winds now. The yellow line here is the edge of the severe thunderstorm warning, and that's the edge of Davidson County. So that's coming into Davidson now, and we'll be crossing. Let's see. Looks like a new warning coming out now. That's going to be for Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Rutherford, Smith, Sumner, Trousdale, Williamson, Wilson. That's going to be a huge severe thunderstorm warning. And there it is right there. So there's your new severe thunderstorm warning that now does include Davidson County. And that's going to be for the strong area of winds that we were just noting entering Davidson County right now. All right, so if you are just joining us, looks like several just joining us here in the past couple of minutes, and probably a few more jumping in here as the warning now has come out for both counties. The entirety of both counties is included in the severe thunderstorm warning at this point. So the most recent one here that you see on the radar, and I'll explain what you're looking at here for those of you just jumping in here. I'll explain that in just a minute. New severe thunderstorm warning till 5:45. And that's the latest one that was issued, and that's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning for all of Davidson and all of Williamson counties. That's till 5:45. That's going to be for potentially 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. As this, you can see velocity view here on TBNA. Got an area about to blow through here that's coming into Joelton, Beeman Park, down to Bells Bend. Riverwalk is getting it right now. Bellevue, Pasco, Fairview. In fact, we've got a, let's see if our Fairview camera is up. And I tell you, if you turn your head just right, a recent windstorm tilted our camera here, but if you turn your head right, you can look there at the Fairview camera, and we can look and see how gusty things are. But you can see that gust front coming in, moving, I would say right to left, but more like top right to bottom left on your screen. But that's the gust front coming in, and some pretty gusty weather coming through there here in the next few minutes. We're going to keep checking on that one, and we'll look at that here in just a minute. But that's coming into Fairview. All right, let's go back over to our cameras, and I'll let you know what I'm looking at on the radar. So again, strong winds coming. Looks like the strongest winds coming into Riverwalk now and Bells Bend. You're looking at the Gallatin camera. I'm going to pan around to the left a little bit, and we can kind of look back toward Nashville. But this is in Gallatin up on a tower looking west. And so you can clearly see that gust front. That's the line of clouds that you see lined up there about halfway up your screen. And that's what that is. Could be some gusty weather in there as that comes in. All right, let's go to the right a little bit more. And not seeing anything suspicious as far as rotation, anything like that on the camera here. But we're going to sort of park the camera right in here and watch this thing come in. Let me go to the right just a little bit, get those towers out of the way. All right, so we're going to stick with that just for a little bit. Let's go back over to TBNA, and several more have joined here in the past little bit. So severe thunderstorm warning now for Davidson and Williamson counties. All of both counties are included in a severe thunderstorm warning. That's till 5:45. Strong winds now coming into West Davidson County, West Nashville. So Bells Bend, Beeman Park. You see these brighter colors lighting up here, and that's going to be your strong velocity winds. In fact, let's go over to I'll tell you what, we're not going to do that. OHX, the other radar, the Weather Service radar, doesn't have as good of a look at it. So we're going to stick with TBNA here and see what it is showing. Weather Service notes that the radar we're looking at here is still seeing a swath of 50-knot winds at 1,000 feet on the Cheatham-Davidson line. So they are especially watching this right here. And this is the area we've been watching now for about 15 minutes. An area of winds up in the 60-mile-per-hour range coming into Bells Bend, crossing River Road, and coming into Bellevue right now. Taking a look at the T-Spotter reports up on a different screen here. Looks like half of a Bradford pair. Most of what we're getting here is pictures of the sky as this comes in. So looks like up in Adams and Robertson County, they got numerous trees down up there. So definitely gusty as it comes in. All right, if you're outside, let's talk about if you're outside. If you're outside in the rest of Davidson County, so if you're over in Creve Hall, Brentwood, Nolensville, if you're down in Franklin, if you're down in Leapers Fork, Thompson Station, Boston, College Grove, Spring Hill, Nolensville. I think we mentioned that already. If you're in any of these areas in Davidson and Williamson counties, go ahead and head inside. Have a plan pretty quick to get indoors. If you're outside at a ballpark, if you are if you're outside mowing the yard, or your spouse or somebody's outside mowing the yard, go outside and let them know it's time to come in. So it's time to come in as we got these strong winds coming in. All right, let's zoom back in on the strongest wind here, and that looks like it's going to be right here around Bells Bend and Bellevue. And the Weather Service notes, interesting thing here, even though the wind signatures are still showing up, the reflectivity trend, which is really the traditional rain view on the radar, that's been coming down the last few scans. And so they expect these storms to weaken, but the wind threat continues for a bit longer as the storms sort of gust out, as they collapse and kind of gust out a little bit. So let's go over and look at what they're talking about. In fact, let's go over to, let's go here. All right, so this is what they're talking about. If you watch the colors here, it looks like the purples and the deep reds kind of start disappearing a little bit. And it looks like, so the storms appear to be coming down in intensity a little bit. But they're still gusty, all right? They're still producing the strong winds as far as we can tell. All right, so you see your purples, some of the pinks and purples there, and those kind of start disappearing, and we're getting more just yellows. All right, but that doesn't mean that the wind threat's going away. We're still clearly seeing that. We're clearly seeing the wind threat there around Old Hickory Boulevard and Bells Bend, out there near where the kind of out where those sod farms are, around Bells Bend by the river on Old Hickory Boulevard. This is not the big Old Hickory Boulevard that runs through the south and eastern part of Davidson County. This is out west, little 2-lane road out there. But that's where the gusty winds are now. Bells Bend down to Riverwalk and Bellevue, still very strong. It looks like on radar here, as far as winds go, it's up in the severe range according to radar. So at about 1,000 feet, we're looking at 58, 60 miles per hour. So we would love to get your reports here, getting a couple of other reports. Let's go look at these on this screen. And let me update this and show you our T-Spotter reports. Sam always does a good job. Incoming line of storms there. Let's see. A tree fell between Liberty. Okay, that's over in Hickman County. Let's look here. This is a picture of the storm coming in. There's a video of the storm coming in. Wow. So there's a video of the storm coming in. That's over in Perry. And it looks like we even saw a tree fall there just a little bit ago. So this might be indicative of some of the weather we're going to see. And you can see it's just really bending those trees over. So it's pretty strong wind as it comes through. This was back in Perry County, I believe. All right, so let's check these out again. Let's see what this is doing. Latest radar scan here showing still a couple of pockets of 60-plus mile-per-hour winds, especially over here near Old Charlotte Pike and sort of crossing Buffalo Road here around Oak Haven. Old Charlotte Pike, Buffalo Road. That's where the strongest winds are right now. It looks like, according to radar, that's going to be up in the 64, 65 mile-per-hour range, and that's up at about 900 feet. So we're getting lower in this. The radar beam's able to see lower in the sky as these storms move closer to us. And as the radar beam is sampling lower in the sky, we're able to see a little bit better, maybe a better representation of what's actually reaching the ground. And we're still seeing the 60-plus mile-per-hour winds as it moves east and gets lower to the beam gets lower to the ground. So we're able to read these a little bit better, yet they're still showing the strong wind gusts in there. So would not be surprised to have some tree damage here in western Davidson County. I'm going to keep an eye up here on the T-Spotter reports. But if you see something, maybe a tree came down or something like that, if you're able to safely send us a report, we would love to know about that. We can get that over to the Weather Service because they're going to want to know if there are trees coming down with this line of storms. Let's go back over and look at the reflectivity again. And I'll reiterate, if you know somebody that's outside in either of our two counties, if you know of anybody that may not know that this storm's coming in, you might want to let them know. So let them know that it's time to come on inside. So reflectivities here, as they've mentioned, excuse me, they've mentioned they are still coming down. So you see the real bright colors back in here. You got your reds and purples showing up, very heavy rain. And as that moves east, that definitely is coming down. The trend is for these storms to be weakening, yet they still are showing the strong velocities. All right, so it looks like Weather Service is getting a little bit technical here. They're sort of explaining why they believe these storms are still blowing out some strong winds here. Temps behind the line of storms are in the low 50s. Wow. So it appears that the cold pool from the thunderstorms is what's keeping them alive a bit longer. So some air that's a little bit colder aloft is helping keep these storms going and keeping that lift going and able to produce some strong winds very easily. So these are wind producers for sure, and it looks like the strongest winds now, the biggest push of strong winds is right around the Charlotte Pike exit on I-40. And with a little bit of work here, I'm going to see if we can get a camera of that. All right, so if you'll give me just a second, you're looking at radar here. You are looking at radar of the strong winds right there around I-40 and Charlotte. And we're going to see if we can get a camera up there. All right, so this is near that area. This is right there around Charlotte and I-40. So trees are moving quite a bit. It's pretty gusty, but I don't see anything that would be really severe. Let's go check another camera here. Let's move just down, maybe closer to Charlotte. This might be a little bit too far south, but let's just check this out. It definitely appears to be gusty. Trees are definitely moving quite a bit on the left side there. So definitely appears to be gusty, and we'll just have to see if we get anything worse there. So let's go back over to TBNA. It looks like the strongest winds now have crossed the interstate and over in the Hillwood area, and I sort of hate to see that. There's a lot of trees over in that neighborhood. There's a lot of trees over here in sort of these older neighborhoods in Hillwood and Whitebridge and Westmead. You can see I've turned the radar off. See how green that is. A lot of big trees over here. So you hope the wind's not blowing too strong. We somewhat frequently get reports out of this neighborhood of trees coming down in or near or around houses, something like that. We hope that's not the case. Still indicating 60, 65 mile per hour wind gusts there in West Nashville, around Hillwood, Charlotte Pike exit, Westmead, St. Thomas Hospital. Looks like power's out over in Avondale Park and Bellevue. That's going to be over here. I believe that's over in the sort of the southern part of Bellevue, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So Avondale Park, power out over there in Bellevue. And looking at other reports here. Not seeing too much yet. They note that somebody responds saying another storm rolling in Union Hill area. So poor folks up in northern Davidson County who have dealt with a couple of tornadoes the other day. On Tuesday, they got another storm coming in here, and they shared video with us. In fact, let's go over and check that out because that'll kind of give us an idea of what they're seeing up there in Union Hill. All right, here's the Union Hill area. This is in northern Davidson County. And, yeah, blowing pretty hard. Poor folks up there have been doing a lot of tree cleanup. So this is in northern Davidson County. This is up right in the central part of northern Davidson County, so just northwest of Goodlettsville a little bit, and kind of east of Joelton and north of Goodlettsville. So that's what to expect as these come in. Let's go back over to TBNA here. Very strong pocket of wind here around Whitebridge, St. Thomas West Hospital, Woodmont Boulevard, Belmead, Westmead. I'm still indicating winds up in the 60 mile per hour range. We're going to go check out the Oak Hill camera. We'll have that ready. And in the meantime, while we're looking at that, we're going to kind of be watching the camera up in Gallatin as well. Not seeing anything too suspicious there, but here's your gust front. That's your gust front coming in to Oak Hill. You can see it coming over the hills there. So your gust front's coming in kind of the Tyne Boulevard, Otter Creek areas, and Radnor Lake. And there's a view of it as it comes in from the west, approaching Franklin Road. It's crossing Hillsborough Road and Granny White Pike right now. Gust front is approaching Franklin Pike here in the next few minutes. This is at the Brentwood Hills Church there on Franklin Road, and you can see that gust front coming over the hills there. Radnor Lake is directly on the other side of those hills that you see right in front of you. So Radnor Lake is just over the hill there, and that's where the gust front is about to come through. And that's when your winds will start to pick up, is when that layer of clouds comes over your head, and that's when you're going to get the strong winds. Latest radar scan coming in here around Ellington Place, St. Thomas West, Woodmont Boulevard. Winds still being indicated in the 60, 65 mile per hour range there at about 600 feet off the ground. And so whether those are making it all the way to the ground, we don't know, but we're seeing indications based on the video that you're sending in to us that those winds are pretty strong as they come in. Another look here, this is the Midtown camera. This is looking from Midtown back to the east, so this is a different perspective of it. We're not looking west here, we're looking east, but some of the strong winds will be approaching here. Going to be a little hard to tell how hard the winds are blowing here. Not a lot of trees in the shot that we can see, but occasionally, we've seen some of the buildings being built. We've unfortunately seen some building materials fly by in the shot before in storms in previous years. So I don't think hopefully won't see that today, but it's a little hard to tell sometimes how hard the wind is blowing there until you see something like that. Let's jump back over to TBNA. We're still got 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, or really a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for both counties. We'll just say it that way. It's in effect until 5:45. So we're looking at, about another 20 minutes on that severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for both counties. And it looks like all warnings expire in our 2 counties at 5:45. So no matter what polygon you're in, they all expire at 5:45. So we'll see if anything gets reissued in the eastern part of our counties that would carry it beyond that. But for now, the polygons expire at 5:45. Here's your gust front coming into Midtown right now. It's coming right over the camera site. And you can see in fact, there is some building materials or something that just came by the camera. So that happens from time to time, and there you go. So some strong winds just came through Midtown, and a piece of something just, hopefully nothing too big, but a piece of something just came by the camera shot there from left to right, which is the direction the winds are blowing there. So let's go over to let's have the Oak Hill camera ready, and we have the gust front getting a little bit closer, coming over the hills there, approaching Franklin Road. This is in Oak Hill along Franklin Pike. And your gust front's there on the right side, that layer of clouds, and it is pushing to the left, which is to the east. And we'll see, we got some really good trees here in the shot. We'll be able to tell pretty clearly how hard the wind is blowing there. And in fact, it's going to be right in the path of what radar is indicating as the strongest winds. And so we'll be able to see pretty clearly how strong that is as it comes over the hill. Let's go back over to traditional radar, and over on traditional radar, we continue to note that the rain is coming down. We're really not seeing incredibly heavy downpours with this as it comes in. Those have weakened quite a bit in the last little bit. I'll put this in motion again, and you can just kind of see how the reflectivities have come down. They've not gotten stronger. So your reds and your purples and all that have gone away for the most part, except for the southernmost areas of Middle Tennessee. Really up here, the reflectivities are coming down quite a bit. And but we're still dealing with the wind. Go back over to TBNA. Let's take a look at the latest radar scans. They come in about every minute or so. Strongest area winds continues to be right over here in the western part of Davidson County, southwestern part. And let's see, let's go over and look at T-Spotter reports again, getting a few more in. Let's go check these out. So if you're outside really anywhere in Davidson County or Williamson County, go ahead and head inside. Some pretty gusty winds here. Let's go look at some pictures here. This is in Kingston Springs. All right, so a tree came down there. A tree snapped at the base in Kingston Springs. Let's scroll down a little bit more here. across the street from the Target on Charlotte Pike. Look at that. So there's a view of the winds that came in around the Target. That's Nashville West over there near Charlotte Pike. And that's what the winds looked like there just a few moments ago. All right, another view of it coming in there. Here's a view, Hillsboro West End. So that's a view there of the winds that came through there a few minutes ago. And that's there of a view of the gust front coming in. Okay, so let's go look at the TBNA again. I'm going to have the Oak Hill camera up. That's going to give us a good idea of how hard the wind's blowing there in Oak Hill. And it looks like it's just about to get there. So trees just now starting to move there in Oak Hill. And we will see how hard the wind gets blowing there. All right, meanwhile, I'm over here at TBNA watching our wind returns on radar. Coming down just a tad maybe. Not seeing any of the, as many of the bright blues. But, you know, we're still looking at winds up in the 55, 58, 58, 60 mile per hour range. So still some blues, but they've come down a little bit over the past little bit. Let's kind of put that in motion and put your loop in place. It might be coming down just a little, but we're still seeing the blues. We're not out of the woods until these blues go away. And that's when our 58, 60 mile per hour winds really are out of here. So trees moving a little bit more over here in Oak Hill. That's that gust front coming across. Weather Service noting that radar reflectivity continues on the downward trend along with the lack of lightning. So not much lightning with this, but the wind threat will continue until the gust front runs out past the heavy rain. So still a little bit longer, but really what they're saying here is just, you know, a little bit longer, and these things should hopefully start weakening here before too long. All right, so you're looking there in Oak Hill. Let's go over and do a storm track on the leading edge of this, and let's sort of zoom in a tad and try to get a storm track on, let's do like the next 20 minutes, and let's call the area of the strongest winds at about right, let's see here. Yeah, that's not going to work for me. Basically, I would say in the next 15 minutes, it'll be over here in the Antioch area, 15, 20 minutes. And then after that, over at Percy Priest. If you know anybody on Percy Priest Lake, they might get some strong winds over the next half hour or so. So they need to be heading in. If you're over on Percy Priest Lake, Old Hickory Lake, anybody out on the lake needs to be coming on in and getting in the marina. So winds pretty gusty over there in Oak Hill. Probably that looks like in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range there, maybe in Oak Hill, right up there on Franklin Pike. Here's your latest radar view. Continue to seeing the velocities coming down, and Weather Service, as soon as I said that, actually, the Weather Service noticed their note here. Velocities starting to come down a little bit on TBNA here as well, but still seeing some of these 58 mile per hour winds that would keep the severe going. So here's your line of strong winds. It's going to be basically from Hermitage down to B&A, down to Creve Hall, and Brentwood down to the Cool Springs Galleria, McKay's Mill, Sullivan Farms down to Boston, and Buckner Road, Spring Hill area, and Thompson Station. So let's go back over to Oak Hill, and I'll show you where this is on radar. So here's what we're looking at, and then let me show you on radar. That's right here. So right here around Creve Hall, around Overton Lee, Radnor Lake. We're looking right here on the camera. So this is right where some of the stronger winds were blowing through here, and you know we're seeing some pretty gusty winds there. So it doesn't look like it's in the 58 mile per hour range to 60 mile per hour range. So hopefully those velocities will come down just a little bit, but it looks, you know, up in the 40-45 range. So let's go over and look at T-Spotter reports again. And let's see what you guys are seeing outside. And let's take a look here. This is the Neely's Bend, gust front over in Neely's Bend. Rolling into Thompson Station there. Let's see here. This is Barclay Drive. Say Big Tree down. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, Big Tree down there, Barclay Drive in East Nashville. So it looks like I blew a tree down there. Thanks for sending these reports in. This is Goose Creek, Lewisburg, Pike, and Williamson County. And the gust front hasn't gotten there yet. Big tree down in Hickman County. This is in Bon Aqua. Spring Hill looks like it's coming in just a little bit. This is in Englewood a few minutes ago. Blowing pretty good. That's a decent springtime storm there. Let's go back over to Oak Hill. Looks like the rain is starting to get there now. Looks like a severe thunderstorm warning continues here for Davidson and Williamson till 5:45. They are continuing the warning and till 5:45. So it looks like maybe even a little bit of hail out in the Dixon County area. Looks like some trees down in Lawrence County. So just, I know we're covering just 2 counties here, but I just want you to be aware of kind of what's going on in other places. So let's take a look at our radar here. Storms clearly weakening. Clearly the storms are weakening, not nearly as strong as they were just even an hour ago. You can see they sort of pulsed up, and then now they are clearly falling apart intensity-wise, but we're just kind of waiting for the velocities to follow, and that process is starting. We can see the velocities coming down. So right now, you can see the leading edge of these velocities not nearly as strong in the blues, the bright blues especially, there through Oak Hill. We're just not seeing that nearly as much as we were, and we're getting pretty close to the radar site. Here's your radar site in Nolensville. And here's Concord Road, Nolensville Road, Governor's Club, Holton, Nolensville, Old Hickory Boulevard, Nolensville Pike. But velocities seem to be coming down. I want to show you this is up in Gallatin. Camera moving around a little bit, so strong winds coming through there right now. In fact, we've lost the camera signal a couple of times here, but strong gusty winds coming through there. And in fact, let me see if I can switch cameras here. Might show the trees a little bit better. Yeah, here you go. So here's a better look at the trees up there in Gallatin. So it looks like blowing pretty good up there. And clouds are moving pretty fast too, actually. All right, let's go back to radar. So it looks like now the storms are starting to weaken. So the question now is what happens over the next little bit? Does the warning get extended? Does the warning get dropped? What happens at that point? So let's go back over and look at this. Is a live view from our camera up in Gallatin. So this is up in Sumner County, and one of the cameras is down about tree level, and the other one's up quite a bit higher than that. And you can clearly see the winds blowing pretty good up there. That looks maybe in the, hard to tell. If I had to eyeball it, I'd say probably in the 40, 45 mile per hour range up there with those gusts up there in Sumner County. That's up there around Gallatin. All right, back to radar again. Severe thunderstorm warning is in effect till 5:45. So we got about another, 6-7 minutes, something like that on the severe thunderstorm warnings. And we have 2 severe thunderstorm warning polygons now. And that's been the case actually for quite a while now. We have one for southern Williamson County, and then another one that covers really most of both counties. And so they overlap a little bit. Both of them, though, expire at 5:45. So that's the good news, is that they go away at 5:45. Now, what happens after that, we'll just have to see. So we'll go back up there to Sumner County, and you can just kind of get an idea of what's happening up there. And I'm also going to check out Oak Hill because they are squarely inside that storm now. And here's a look there. So rain has fuzzied the picture up a little bit, but still some pretty gusty winds though. And the trees still moving around out there. I'd probably, if I had to eyeball, probably 35, 40 miles per hour with those winds up there in Oak Hill. Check out radar again. Very few places where we see these blues anymore, and right here around Brentwood and Creve Hall is one of those places, and radar is still indicating really right off the surface, about 300 feet, looking at about 60 mile per hour winds still around Nippers Corner and or between I-65 and Nippers Corner there in Annandale and some of those neighborhoods around the Cloverland area and Old Smyrna Road. Still could be some pretty gusty winds there. And in fact, we're going to see if maybe we can get one of our cameras up, or not one of our cameras, one of the city of Brentwood's cameras up there at Let's go to Church Street and Wilson Pike. So not too gusty there. Wind's blowing pretty good, but we've seen stronger. So just some general gusty winds there, it looks like, at Church and Wilson. That's there in the city of Brentwood. All right, back to radar. Velocity is definitely coming down, so that's a good thing. Going to check out any notes from the guys here. All right, cool. Good deal. All right, so we're watching a weakening line of storms now. Let's go back to Brentwood. You can kind of see the gusty winds there in Brentwood, Church Street, Wilson Pike. And you know what I've noticed? I'm watching a few different cameras here, and I'm watching up in Gallatin, and every once in a while we get some pretty strong gusts like this. This is now up in Gallatin, and then it'll calm down, and then we get some real strong gusts of wind again. So that's kind of the way it seems, is that we get some real strong gusts, and then it sort of slackens off a little bit, and then it picks up again. So that's kind of, this is over in Brentwood. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And in fact, let me go over to, let's see here. I'm going to pull up a Nippers Corner camera, if it's online. Looks like it may not be, actually. That's all right. All right, so let's go back over and look at radar. Let's go back to traditional radar, our traditional radar view, which is going to show the weakening line of storms. So, we're not seeing any reds hardly. I mean, it's hard to find the reds on the radar. This is mostly yellows and greens, which is your light to moderate rain. But the thing we're watching is the winds. And up here at the Weather Service radar, they're showing winds in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range as it came right into the radar. That's a great read. The radar had a great read on these winds coming in to the radar, very near the ground. And it looks like they were pinging somewhere in the 40 to 45, 50 mile per hour range as that came in just right there to the Weather Service radar. So that looks probably about all we're dealing with right now. Is, as we kind of go around and look at the cameras, that's pretty accurate. So this is up in Gallatin. Yeah, 35, 40 maybe is kind of what we're looking at there in Gallatin. It's breezy, but it's not, it's not out of control. And then we go back over to Oak Hill, and same kind of thing. So it's a little bit hard to tell here because the rain has got the lens kind of fuzzied up there a little bit, but yeah, same kind of thing. It's breezy, but it's not out of control. All right, so let's go back over to TBNA radar. Again, these warnings are in effect for another few minutes here, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the Weather Service does, whether they just can these warnings and they don't reissue anymore after that. We'll just have to see. They expire here in just a few minutes, right? So these are in effect till 5:45, and I'm at 5:42 right here. So in about another 3 minutes, we'll see what they do with this, and these warning boxes just might go away, and we'll just have to see. But that's, I'm looking at some other stuff here, some reports that have come in. Looks like a tree down on Granny White Pike at Brentwood Academy, and it looks like they did just reissue a warning. So it looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning now for Davidson County. That's going to be for 30 minutes till 6:15. So severe thunderstorm warning now for Davidson County and Williamson County. That's going to be a new polygon. They've gone ahead and issued a new severe thunderstorm warning now for these winds that are weakening. They are not, it doesn't look like they're getting stronger on radar. It looks like it's on a downward trend, but they've gone ahead and opted to issue a new severe thunderstorm warning until 6:15 for Davidson and Williamson. Let's go look at T-Spotter reports here real quick because we're getting some pictures of that y'all might be interested in if you are headed to your about to be commuting. So this is a tree down at Granny White Pike near Brentwood Academy. So this is there in Brentwood near Brentwood Academy. So a tree down there across Granny White Pike. So it looks like another tree. This is in Lexington, Tennessee. This is out in West Tennessee, tree down there. And somebody hearing a tree cracking in the distance. There's Spring Hill. Another look at Spring Hill there as that came in. And there's some strong winds there in Nolensville. Or on Nolensville. Okay, that's up on Nolensville Road, probably near the airport. And a branch right on the fire pit. That's convenient. All right, let's jump back over to radar here. It looks like now area of strong gusty winds there around 60 miles per hour right at TBNA. So 60 mile per hour winds not out of the question. TBNA is reading 60 mile per hour winds right at the radar site. So here's your, if you know the area, this is the Burkett Place subdivision. And this is TBNA right here. So if you live in Burkett Place, you got this golf ball looking thing over here, and that's the TBNA radar. It's in some of your backyards over there. And it looks like the wind just came through Burkett Place and came out on the other side around Kidd Road. So it looks like winds up around 62 miles per hour being measured there around the TBNA radar site. So new warning in effect now. So we got one polygon. This is until 6:15. A severe thunderstorm warning in effect till 6:15 for eastern Davidson and eastern Williamson counties. And now another polygon has come out. New severe thunderstorm warning now for southern Williamson County. And this one's going to carry us until 6:30. So that's going to be in effect until 6:30. And I can hear the wind starting at my house. I can hear it from in the house. So it is definitely blowing pretty hard out there for sure. Weather Service notes that reflectivities continue to come down, and the gust front is moving a bit further past the heavy rain. So hopefully this trend keeps going and winds continue to weaken. So we will hope that that happens. All right, so there's around TBNA, there's your strongest winds on TBNA being indicated 65 miles per hour there at about 50 feet above the radar site. So that's pretty close to the ground. Kind of looking out my window. It is blowing pretty hard. And wind, I'll tell you, let's look up here. I'm going to show you the cameras. This is up in Gallatin. The winds continue to blow up there. Just a second ago, continued to see a pretty strong wind gust up there on the Gallatin camera. So once these winds start, they may hang around a little bit. Wow. I can hear them blowing at my house. Let me check T-Spotter reports. Limbs down in Whispering Hills. Let's see. That's in Davidson County. All right, let's stick with radar here for a little bit. Let's go over, let's see, are we looking at Nashville? We are looking at Nashville's radar. Yes, this is OHX. This is the Weather Service radar up in Old Hickory. Their radar is generally recording winds in the 38 to 40 mile per hour range. It's down further south on TBNA's radar that we're really showing the strongest winds. TBNA still recording winds up in the 55 to 60 mile per hour range there in Williamson County. That's going to be over there around Fly Road, Rocky Fork Road, Baronswood Drive, comes out of the neighborhoods there up to Kidd Road in Nolensville, and McFarland Road that goes over there into Rutherford County. And that's where the looks like the strongest winds are right now, at least that the radar is showing. And looks like some large limbs down Elm Hill and McGavock. So that's where it just looks kind of like pretty much an area-wide thing is where, you know, we're just seeing some strong winds come through, really area-wide. Hard to nail down one area. So some of the areas that we saw the strongest wind gusts on radar, we really haven't seen that much in the way of reports. But in other areas, we're getting reports of a little bit of tree damage, and so it really just seems like it's widespread. It's not just one specific area. All right, so the strongest winds are just about to exit, or at least the gust front is about to exit both counties. So it looks like, wow, I can hear it, y'all. It is really blowing. I can hear a roar from inside the house. So that is a decent storm. All right. So here's your gust front. Rural Hill down to Smyrna, down through Nolensville, McCandless Road, Triune, the 31A, 41A split, and down toward Arno and Alisona across Keys. That's where the gust front is, but the winds really extend good ways back behind the gust front too. Let me check some notes here I'm being sent. Sounds like I may have some cleanup to do after this storm moves through outside. All right, so you're looking at TBNA, and strongest winds have already pushed through, but it looks like that, there's just some strong winds back behind it here a little bit. Power outages in Bellevue, pea-size hail. Picture of the clouds coming into Smyrna. You folks in Smyrna about to get some pretty strong gusty winds, lightning in Bellevue. Hey, let's talk about reports real quick. If you have reports to send us, use hashtag TSpotter and in a tweet and send those to us. If you see trees down, limbs down, something like that, something we need to know about, send those over to us. We'll get those right over to the Weather Service. We're seeing reports being put into the Weather Service chat here where they read the reports that we send them, and that's tremendously useful to them. So let's do that. Send us your reports, and we'll get those over to the Weather Service. Let's back out just a little bit. Let's go check some more cameras here. I'm still very curious about like Oak Hill. I'm not sure. I may have heard a limb hit my house, hit the top. And here's Oak Hill. Clearly the wind is still blowing in Oak Hill. So it looks like it's blowing for quite a while after the gust front even moves through. So still breezy there. All right, back over to TBNA. These winds here still being indicated in the 58. So after it passes the radar, so they're green as they go toward the radar. When they pass the radar, they turn red and orange. All right, so these are winds going toward the radar. These are winds going away from the radar. And so right here, we're switching kind of from green and blue mode to red and orange mode as the winds move past the radar. So we're looking at winds up in the 58 to 60 mile per hour range there into Rutherford County. And then down here in Nolensville, still some gusty winds there as it kind of blows this way. The radar cannot see side to side, okay? So it only sees wind coming toward it and going away from it. Wind that goes parallel to it or perpendicular to it, it cannot see. So that's why you have these neutral colors down here, because it cannot see that. It's not going toward or away, it's going by, and it can't see that. So your best read on velocities is going to be exactly what we got. Wind coming right down through Brentwood, Creevehall to the radar site and then leaving the radar site. That's going to be the best read you can possibly get on velocities, and that's what we're looking at here. And that's winds up in the 59 to 60 mile per hour range. So it looks like Weather Service is continuing. Severe thunderstorm warning, that's going to be up north of us. And looks like we got some more pictures coming in of some trees down. Let's go over to Oak Hill. It's still pretty gusty up in Gallatin. Let's go look at the National Weather Service radar. We're going to back out a little bit and turn on the reflectivities. And wow, you can just tell. I mean, these things are really falling apart just from the precipitation perspective. So as the Weather Service has been saying, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm keeping one eye out my window here. But there's definitely a downward trend in the reflectivities. So your reds, your purples, your bright colors, you can just see. Let me back up the radar and then go forward. These things are just falling apart, but they're really, really gusty. All right, let's go over to TBNA. Again, we have two severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. 2 polygons here, one until 6:30 and the other one until 6:15. So our southernmost warning here, our southernmost polygon that goes from Thompson Station and College Grove to the south, including Bethesda, Cross Keys, Alasona, areas like that, that's until 6:30. The other one here is in effect until 6:15. That's what covers most of Davidson and Williamson counties, and that's going to be in effect until 6:15. So another about 15, 20 minutes on that one, 20 minutes on that one, and then until 6:30, about 35 more minutes on the one down in southern Williamson County. So we're going to stick with these as long as the threat is still there. Whether we're with it all the way to 6:30, we'll just have to see. But we're going to, if the winds move out of the area, and it's clear that the strongest winds are now in other counties, then we'll take that as it comes. But for now, we'll stick with the warnings here for about another 15, 20 minutes as these strong gusty winds continue to move through here. It looks like the strongest ones now, though, are over into Rutherford County. Strongest winds over in the 58-mile-per-hour range right there around I-24 and, State Highway 102. What is 102? Is that Almoville Road? I think that's Almoville Road. That's over there. I-24 and Almoville Road. That's where the strongest winds there are now. Still very strong back over here in eastern Williamson County, but coming down, not as strong as they were. So let me back the radar up. And again, when the wind is going toward the radar, you're going to be looking at greens and blues. When it goes past the radar, it turns to reds and oranges because the wind's going away from the radar at that point, which is located right here. All right, so that's why your colors change. So let's back up. You see a lot of blues, and then the blues sort of slacken off. Still got a few of them there as it crosses the radar site, and then you see your reds and your oranges pop up there around I-24 and Almoville Road. So that looks to be where the strongest winds are right now, and that's pushing east. So hopefully this won't be a Williamson County problem much longer. It looks like it's going to be a Rutherford County, Wilson County, on over into Bedford County thing here over really in the next few minutes. And it looks like things should start to wind down for Williamson County here in the next little bit. So that would be great. That would be great. Not for them, but for us. But definitely, I'm surprised how strong the winds were with such weak reflectivities. So your yellows and oranges, but very strong winds just with those weak reflectivities. That's pretty interesting. All righty. Let's see. I'm checking on some notes from the Weather Service here. I'm looking at T-Spotter also. It looks like most of the stuff we've already covered. This is, just some gusty winds in the trees. Not seeing anything, too damaging. Got some trees down here and there. A tree down on a fence or something. That's in Franklin. But really not much more, it's stuff that can be cleaned up pretty easily. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. Not seeing any structural damage or anything like that. Could be maybe down in Lawrence County. They had some pretty strong winds down in Lawrence County. Seeing reports of that. That's on down here along the Alabama border. So pretty gusty winds down there. They may have had a tree down on a house there. But not seeing much of that up in our area. It looks just mostly like a little bit of tree damage and that kind of thing. So, but still gusty though. Still gusty though as this moves in. But I think pretty much the worst of it is now over for Williamson County. I think it's over into Rutherford County now, the worst of it. So College Grove here, still getting the gusty winds. 840 here at that 31A, 41A, that's Nolensville Road that goes down to 840. That's your exit there. There's the old, four-way, I still call it the four-way stop in Triune. It's a red light now, traffic signal, but your intersection there in Triune. And that looks to be about where the back edge of the strongest winds are. And the strongest winds appear now to be over College Grove, just east, and over into Rutherford County. That looks to be where the strongest winds are now, and they've probably exited most of Williamson County here now. So that looks to be what's going on now. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I think we're going to go ahead and cut off of here And let me just say this. If you have any reports to send us, if you see any trees down, just send that over to us. Hashtag T-Spotter a tweet. And send us a picture. Be sure to include where you are. What's a cross street or something. Give us an idea of where you are. And we'll send that over to the Weather Service. They've really enjoyed getting our reports today, and it helps them to kind of know what they need to warn and what they don't. But it let them know there were still some pretty strong winds out there. And I tell you what, before we go, let's just take a look at T-Spotter reports again. So this is going to be, let's check out the T-Spotter feed here. Wes says hackberry trees all burn forever. Got a hackberry tree came down there. Hate that for him. Looks like, wow, pretty strong winds there. That's 96 in Mac Hatcher. So Highway 96 and Mac Hatcher, there are a lot of leaves flying through the air. So got to get the leaf blowers out. It's going to be a lot of cleanup here over the next day or two, just getting things cleaned up from these blustery winds. All right, let's go back to radar one last time, and then we'll cut off of here. Again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Davidson and Williamson, technically in effect until 6:15, another 15 minutes. We think the strongest winds have moved east of both counties, so we think that is the worst of it now has moved east of both counties, and this other severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 6:30 down here to the south. But really, we think, as you can see here on radar, clearly the strongest winds are now east of Williamson County. So we're going to go ahead and cut off of here and go back to Twitter. We've been over on Twitter. David's been over there, but we're going to go back to Twitter and keep that up to date at Nash Severe WX. David's over there. Will's taking your reports. And hope you all have a great evening, and good luck cleaning up the little bit of tree damage we had as this line of storms came through. Y'all have a good night.